Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast, almost becoming daily at the moment. We're going to need to take control of this. We really, really are. If you're for the very, very first time, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on X. We're on Facebook. And we're on Blue Sky too. I'm joined by three of our fabulous returning guests to Last Word on Spurs that are going to keep us in and posted and guide us through all the very latest news around Tottenham in this show. We'll be discussing the departure of long-term right-hand person to Daniel Levy in Donna Cullen. Donna Cullen, yes, has departed the football club. Ange Postecoglou, very much as we record at this moment in time, still in the dark with regards to whether he is going to continue as the Spurs head coach. We do know the club have had direct contact and talks with Thomas Frank. We're only 3 days into the transfer window. We've already had a rejection. MBUEMO looks like he's heading to Manchester United and rejecting Tottenham on the way out. Yes, those are the same Tottenham side that defeated Manchester United to win the Europa League. And we've also had news coming to us ahead of the eve of this show that Ryan Mason has become the new head coach of West Bromwich Albion. And look, we wish Ryan the very, very best for the future. And we'll be coming on to what that move means for Ryan. And of course, for Tottenham, we do know it's a big, big shake-up with regards to what is happening around Spurs at the moment. We're coming on to that and more. We have to say we wish Vinai Venkatesham all the very, very best. He has started his venture as Tottenham's new CEO. I think it's fair to say we can tell you, Vinai, if you don't know before, welcome to the ride. Strap in. It's going to be fun. Let's bring in the wonderful guests that make this show what it does. Marlon's back from the Spurs Kings. We couldn't let him have rest. We brought him back for more. Mars, how are you? You got about 7 days off me, didn't you? Or was it less?
Probably about that. I was fuming when you messaged me. I'm still living off Europa League winners and you're there messaging me about Spurs. I haven't noticed what's been going on. But I'm back. I'm good. And as always, Ricky, I'm always here for you, mate.
Bless you, mate. Loads of love from the Spurs Kings, of course. Also back on the show, we've got the brilliant Christina Zandes, of course, change for Spurs. Representative Chris, how are you? Love to be on here. We've given you a little bit more break than what we used to. So sorry about that. How are you? Well?
No, it's been great. The last time I was on here, we hadn't won a trophy. And now I can say we're here. We've got a trophy.
We are European champions.
There we go.
We are indeed. There you go. Don't say we don't change things for people. We do change fortunes. Also back on the show, got a bit of a Greek panel going on here. Miles is almost being adopted now, half Greek, because of what we've put him through over the last 18 months. He's almost put there. We've got the wonderful George Achillea back on the show across the socials. George, how are you? Got to say, a little bit like Rod Stewart, you're here, George. Many that listen to George the last 8 years are not going to hear this voice coming. G, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I've for those listening and watching, I've been very, very, very ill the last week. I think it was too much celebrating for being champions of Europe. So I will take it all day long. A lot of sacrifice was needed last week. I was in a lot of pain, but yeah, starting to feel better now. So much appreciated and happy to be back on.
G, we have to apologise for bringing you off your sick bed, but you know, Tottenham
Spurs never rest, mate. Spurs never rest.
Spurs never rest, which means you never rest, which means we can't ever rest, which is why you're back here. Look, we are going to have to start with what is the headline news coming out of Spurs, of course, on this day of we record the show, and that is that Daniel Levy's right-hand woman, Donna Cullen, has stepped down from Tottenham in what promises to be the biggest shake-up under the club's tenure of Enic and the possibility of also fresh investment. This does come on the same day that Vinai Venkatesham has started his work as chief executive of Tottenham. And again, Cullen's departure was revealed of that morning. We understand that her role as director ended on Saturday, and she will now spend the next couple of months handing over her role to others. Cullen's exit leaves only the operations and finance director, Matthew Collicott, as one of Levy's longest-serving board members, along with Director of Football Administration and Governance, Rebecca Capelhorn. Really important we stress this. It is anticipated that Cullen's departure will be one of many changes in the coming weeks for Tottenham. And we're also led to believe that following Donna Cullen out the door soon will also be Chief Football Officer Scott Munn. That is what we're hearing at the moment. We know for Vinai Venkatesham coming in that it's a big, big call for Daniel Levy. You know, there's already been suggestions that Vinai has been associated to what we've seen with regards to there being an element of, we've had a 3 point for those that I think attended the Bodo Glimt game. We had the scars laid out for fans home and away in relation to our latter stage of the Europa League campaigns. There's already a feeling that Vinai Venkatesham behind the scenes has already maybe started making the effect when it comes to that fan element of trying to really engage again with the fans, where for many out there, I think a lot of the people that have been staunchly against Enic, against Daniel Levy and, dare I say, Donna Cullen, many would maybe look at this as a big, big win to see the departure of Donna Cullen. There has been statements from both parties, Donna Cullen and Daniel Levy. Donna Cullen's statement read, "This has been such a hard decision to make. The club has been my life for the past 3 decades. I have had the privilege of working with Daniel, whose vision and energy have driven the club forward, and so many talented and wonderful colleagues. It has been quite some journey, starting at White Hart Lane with a brief stay at Wembley and finally our new home, amazing memories home and away, ending this season with a Europa League trophy. The time is now right for me to gather more time for myself and for my family, whom I thank for all their support over the years." Daniel Levy has also spoken on Donna Cullen's exit and said, "Donna has made an immense contribution to the club over an extensive period. Her diverse responsibilities grew significantly, and replacing her roles with a single individual will be impossible. Her daily input will be greatly missed. However, she fully deserves to take the time for herself, and I know that shall in the future her voice may be called upon, we will wish her very, very well." There has been a statement from Change for Tottenham. We're going to bring in Christina for that very, very soon. But initial reaction, let's start with you, George, to the news. Donna Cullen has exited the football club in what I think many have been is quite surprised, and maybe for some pleasantly surprised by this news. George, your take on it for you?
Yeah. I mean, I was quite surprised by it to see it earlier, and I think, look, it's I guess hopefully a step in the right direction that we've all been looking for, right? Because at the end of the day, we've been complaining about how nothing's really changed in the 20 odd years that it's been. And all right, yes, we finally won that trophy this year, but it took, quite literally sacrificing the the league to get there. And I think we all want change for the good now and for the better to hopefully continue winning things. And I think, to me, this is hopefully a step in the right direction, because at the end of the day, you've just got to look at the denominating factors that have been here throughout the whole time. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pleased to see the news, really, to be honest, and hoping this sort of change continues for the better.
Marlon, what's your take on it for you? Is it coincidental that as soon as Donna leaves, Vinay's come in for his first day at work? Is there any link between those two for you?
Yeah, possibly. Look, I think the trophy coming in, there was always going to be change at the club. And I think that's why they probably sacrificed the league over a trophy, because they wanted to make these changes rather sooner than later. And obviously, we've been looking at investment for how long now, and nothing's ever been announced. And it's just everything's been quite eerily quiet over the last couple of weeks as well, since the cup win. And you just look at it and go, when I heard the news about Donna this morning, I was like, okay, here we go. Another soap opera, being a Spurs fan, who's next kind of scenario. And it's like everyone was, obviously all the rumours came out about Ange over the last 48 hours, and everyone's been talking about Ange, and this just came out of left field for everybody. So it'd be quite interesting what we have as a week ahead as a Tottenham fan. But look, am I pleased? Look, until I see significant changes in this club, it's the first step. It's the first step. I know a lot of problems that people had behind the scenes were with Donna. And a lot of people thought she was I think a lot of people, especially Spurs fans, jumped on the fact that it was rumoured that she didn't want Poch back, and that just kind of put everyone's backers up against the wall with her a little bit. But there are other bits she did do off the pitch as well that she doesn't get recognition for. And I think Spurs Reach put out something today as well, saying actually she'd done a lot of work with them. So you have to take the rough with the smooth at the moment. So look, the change is starting. Let's see what happens. This Europa League has probably broken the curse, and I'm still celebrating it, people. I'm still going to celebrate it for a whole year. But no, look, let's see what happens over the next week. But am I happy? Look, I'm happy with everything that's going on at the moment, and I'm just pleased to be a Spurs fan. That's where I'm at the moment. Let's see what happens.
Marlon, you can rightly be proud, rightly be pleased, and not let the noise that is currently going on stop you from doing so. Let's come over to Christina to get the understanding and the latest from Change for Spurs, who did put out a statement. Chris, we'll hand over to you, and we'll share that statement with the viewers and listeners for you to read out.
Okay, yes. So this is a statement from Change for Tottenham. So Donna Cullen steps down, a welcome first step. Change for Tottenham notes the departure of Donna Cullen from the board of Tottenham Hotspur after 2 decades in a senior leadership role. This marks a significant moment for a club whose leadership has too often prioritised commercial growth over footballing ambition, while ignoring the voice of its supporters. For years, fans have expressed frustration, but in recent months, the frustration has escalated into organised protests on a level never before seen at Tottenham Hotspur. While the departure alone does not signal the full change our club needs, it is a step in the right direction. With a new CEO due to take charge this summer, we hope this signals a shift in culture, one that puts football first, rebuilds trust with the fans, and charts a new one, more ambition path forward. This is not the end, but perhaps the beginning of something better.
How do you feel, Chris? Because again, you've been quite pivotal to the process of, now we call it last season, and the noise that has been around, the frustration of a lot of Spurs fans because of the lack of success, the lack of really the club making those ambitious moves on field. Do you think it's been a really positive maybe step that the club with Vinai coming in can really grasp this moment and hopefully take Tottenham into a fresh new direction?
When the news broke out today, I actually, same as George, I felt actually quite happy about it, because to me it just shows that there is net change that is now happening at the club, and this is literally what we have been wanting to do all this time. That's the reason why we've been protesting. And also just to note, we don't take any credit for the departure of Donna. We're not here to say like Change for Tottenham is the reason for that. Not at all. It's just because this is what we've been asking for this whole time. This is why we've been protesting. This is why we've been sending out all of these protests and posters to everyone. And we also want to thank everyone that has been part of that journey with us. That includes, with you, Ricky, with doing everything on the podcast with us. Because this just adds in the pressure, and this just shows that fans have wanted this change for such a long time. And I think this is just a good step now. And who knows what else is going to be happening, because I feel personally, with us winning that trophy with the Europa, I feel like it's just opened up a hell of a lot of eyes in the club with actually how big and ambitious and how much potential that this club can succeed. And even with that, the parade, I still can't believe actually how many fans attended that parade and just showed that much support for the team, for the manager. It was unbelievable. And to me, that just showed that we are Tottenham Hotspur. We are a big club, and there is so much more that we can do. I mean, Premier League, I feel like that is still a bit out of reach for us. But Champions League, it's doable. We can do this, but we need the backing, and we need the experts behind the scenes. Things needed to change, but I just feel everything that's now happened, and I'm still feeling it. I feel so proud to be a Tottenham fan at this moment, because that feeling that will never take away. It was just incredible. But yeah, there's just so much more that this club can do, and I just hope now that this is really truly the first steps of change at Spurs, and we can hopefully see something more incredible.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chris, really important point you make there. And I think to bring it back round to you, Miles, on the point that we're discussing here about hopefully looking to see the club move in more of a sensible direction, a direction that a lot of football fans, Tottenham fans, will hope they can see a bright future. We also can't forget, at the time of recording this show, we are at the moment in the dark as to whether Ange Postecoglou is going to remain the Tottenham Hotspur head coach. I know for a lot of people out there, it's been a very strange last 24, 48 hours. We've had the news around on the Sunday now with regards to potentially Thomas Frank being the latest name to be linked on the merry-go-round as potentially Tottenham having direct talks with and maybe replacing Ange Postecoglou. Would be one of your biggest concerns at the moment. We'll come on to that shortly, but because we haven't had a decision, it's almost, as you've seen, clubs are already making moves in the window. We're going to come on to Brian MBUEMO in a little bit. We understand he's turned down Tottenham to join Manchester United, who have already signed Cunha. And you may also look at the fact and argue that, many might have felt, is it United that have won the Europa League? They're already making moves in the market to rebuild their squad. Are you concerned by these last 5, 6, 7 days and the lack of a decisive decision from the football club when it comes to the manager and in regards to what is to come for Tottenham? Because I feel for a lot of people out there at the moment, everyone's a bit up in the air as to what is coming next at the moment. You said it yourself, it's a big week for the football club.
Look, I'm not going to sit there and get on my high horse now. We're so early, and this early window is not technically for us. It was for the Club World Cup, so we kind of have to. It's for Manchester City and Chelsea. They're the people that should be making moves in this window. And then there's like a week, I think, and then the window opens again. Look, Spurs have never done things quite early. We'll probably announce some free transfers on the 1st of July, or as typical Spurs as they will do. So there's probably players in that we've already agreed terms with. So we'll wait till then. Look, at this present moment, if we don't know who the manager's going to be, if we don't know who the board's going to be, this is the month to get it all out of the way. Let's just see what Spurs do first. Like, let's not panic. Let's see, because MBUEMO might be going to Brentford now, and it's someone we'd all like, and it's someone I've been saying I wanted for ages. However, once the Club World Cup's finished and the tournament moves on, other players will start becoming available and wanting to move. And obviously, there's a World Cup next year that there's some players that are probably looking, going, I want to be in a World Cup squad, and there'll be decent players on the market. It's just whether now, depending on all these changes that Spurs do, whether we're going to be involved in the conversation. And that's the bit we just kind of have to. I know what everyone's thinking. Oh my God, we're Europa League winners, but let Man United have got bigger fish to fry and bigger things to fix than what I'd say Spurs do. Spurs need to build a squad, where Man United need to fix their whole 11, and they've got to make these moves now before other clubs come into play. Because if MBUEMO waited for another month or two, he'd probably have better offers coming in. But he's probably thinking, I need to make this move now. And for him, it's probably still that Man United sense in his head that Man United is still a great club. And that's the problem we've got. Man United are still trying to make moves early because they know if they're up against anyone else, they're going to lose at the moment. So for Spurs, it's don't panic. Don't panic. Don't worry. Let's see what happens. Because as we said, Donna Cullen's gone. That's the first part. We then have to see what Vinny's going to do. Paratici's still got to come back, apparently. There's them rumours too. So once he's back, we're going to be linked with every single player underneath the sun. It's just going to be completely every day. Ricky, you're going to be working every day because we'll be linked with about 6, 7 wingers, 10 midfielders. So don't worry.
Don't tell my wife that, for God's sake.
Yeah, I won't tell her.
Don't tell her.
But on a serious note, just quickly, I just think for everyone right now, let's enjoy it. Like I said, I'm going to enjoy this Europa League win, but at the same time, don't panic. Let's see what happens. This is going to be all new to all of us. This is how we're going to work, because
I love you telling Tottenham fans, Miles, not to panic.
I know.
Currently, don't know who the manager's going to be. Clubs are making moves in the window. And
it's already a few days too late for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the directors have been there for 20 years. Step aside. It's Tottenham. Let's come on to that news that Miles has brought up there, George. Just bring that over to you. And that's the news that we are expecting at some point the return of former managing director Fabio Paratici, although the Italian may need to remain in a consultant capacity for the time being due to the civil trial into the irregularities during his time at Juve. They are due to come to an end at the end of July, which obviously would coincide with bringing him back in. So it does feel at the moment, Jules, as Marlon touched upon there, there's a lot of moving parts to this, right? And it does feel that there's a lot it feels going on behind the scenes right now that, quite honestly, we're just not privy to. Is that fair, George, at the moment?
Yeah, it seems that way for sure. And I think, look, you nailed it on the head there. I am exactly the same. I absolutely adore MBUEMO. I think he's been unbelievable, and as a player, I would have loved to have seen at Spurs. But as Marlon just said there, at the end of the day, we can't panic or worry about these things, because with so much going on behind the scenes, as it seems, if we were to make a signing now that doesn't reflect what maybe new staff or a new head coach would want, then you're already sort of starting off really messy, and that would have been what 50, 60 million of the budget already gone on a player that, for all we know, it could be a manager that doesn't want him or whatever. Do you know what I mean? There's so much going on behind the scenes at the moment that I feel like making moves too early when they're not needed would be a big mistake. As much as I personally would have loved to see him when we were at Spurs, there are still plenty of other players out there that are definitely good enough for what we need. And again, echoing the same things, I can't stop scrolling on Twitter and Instagram on my photos and everything, and just looking at all the videos, all the photos and stuff from the parade and Bilbao and everything, and just not having a smile on my face all the time. So I know it can be so stressful, but yeah, we need to really, really soak this in. It's been 41 years since the last one, and you don't know when the next one's going to come. So yeah, take it all in. I think there definitely is a lot of things going on behind the scenes for sure. I think sort of Donna Cullen stepping down and moving on, with Vinai coming in as well. And like you say, Paratici most likely looking like he's coming back as well. So many moving parts, and I don't think this will be the end of it either. So yeah, we need to hold on to our seatbelts because it's going to be a wild ride.
Well, look, for Marlon's sake, I'm going to take us back to the feeling at the parade, and I want to come to Christina on where we are quite now with regards to Ange Postecoglou and what is coming next for Tottenham, and will there be a season 3?
Oh, man.
I told them, and they laughed. I told them, and they didn't believe. But here we are. And we're here because of this unbelievable group of people, players and staff, absolute heroes, led by the legend, son Heung-Min. Kuti Rivera, James Madison, and Guillermo Vicario. All of them heroes, and they did it all for you. Because you deserve it. This club deserves it. And I'll tell you something, I'll leave you with this. All the best television series, season 3 is better than season 2. Thank you.
Oh, Tottenham Hotspur.
Goosebumps. That was unreal.
Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Where are we right now? Chris is like she's about to well up and cry. I'm going to come to Christina and let her compose herself, because Ange Postecoglou has been speaking to Australian TV, ABC News, where he has said, this interview has only just dropped in the last 24 hours, that he's promised there are more trophies in his future amid talk about his current position at Tottenham. He is currently still on holiday in Greece, and he's spoken to ABC News for Australia's story game of his life. It follows up a documentary they did on him a decade ago. He has said, I have no doubt that for me, the mission when I joined Tottenham was to win a trophy. It became, well, we've got this opportunity in Europe. What do we do about that? Making the final was, I guess, for me, a real vindication of the road we have taken. A final of a significant tournament, an opportunity to create history. We're talking about a club who had lost 3 finals in their last 17 years and had made 8 or 9 semi-finals. That's not a great record in big games. So there were a lot of nervous people around the club, trust me, who were fearing the worst. Probably our supporters as well. 2 Premier League teams playing together in a European final. It doesn't get any bigger than that, I don't think. This was one of those games on the planet that night. You knew the world was watching. When we sat down 10 years ago and I did the initial Australian story, I think even maybe then you guys thought that was the culmination of what I was about to achieve. What I do know is that in 10 years' time, if we sit down again, I've got no doubt in my mind there'll be even more stories to tell, and there'll be even more trophies that I've won. Chris, let's come to you. At the moment, as I say, at the time of this recording, Ange Postecoglou's future remains in the dark. We know Tottenham have been talking to other managers. I know you've been through the mill with it with Ange. You know, I think there's been times you've been on the train, you've been off the train, you've gone back on the train. Where are you right now? What's your feeling with regards to everything around Ange Postecoglou and what Tottenham are going to do next? Because to catch on what the guys have been saying, it's a very quiet feeling around the manager right now after a Sunday where it was dominated by speculation.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually in the air right now. I don't know if that's because I'm still on high with the celebrations and everything from the win. But I actually do want to take this moment just to actually say, like, to Ange, if he ever is to listen to this, like, thank you for that incredible, amazing week that we had. I'm still living it. You guys are still living it as well, because honestly, we have gone through a hell of a lot as a Tottenham fan with all the Tottenham comments, trophy comments. We finally did it, and I'm just so happy that I've been able to walk into work with a massive smile on my face, going around to all the Arsenal fans, waving to them, you know, saying hi. How was your European final? Oh, you didn't get there. That's fine. But we did, and we got it, and I'm just so happy. And thank you to Ange for like giving me that boost in life, because honestly, it was absolutely incredible. And to even share that, you know, memory with you guys who we saw at the screening, it was absolutely phenomenal. Where am I with Ange? Where am I, in or out? You know, like I said, I am on the fence with this. I really am, with everything that's happened, of course. And I feel like the players themselves, they have a really close relationship with the manager, which I think is a real big, it's a real big plus for that. They obviously stick by him. We saw it from afterwards, all the videos. We saw how emotional they were with him. And it's just such a touching thing to see. And they obviously wanted it for him. And I am actually glad that he got that trophy, considering the amount of stuff that he's had from the media, and they've given him a lot of, you know, like all of these like comments. And at the end of the day, he proved them right. It was a fact what he said. I win things in the second season, and everyone took the mick out of it, and they did laugh. And now look who's laughing. He absolutely killed it, and now he comes out with even more quotes. I don't know what is going to happen, but I'm interested to see. However, we cannot ignore the performances from the Premier League, because it was bad. Before that final, before that week, I mean, Ricky, I don't know how you were doing podcast shows, because honestly, it was painful, absolutely painful. We cannot ignore this, you know, all of those performances. And bear in mind, next season we're going to have Champions League, we're going to have the, you know, FA Cup again, we're going to have Premier League, we're going to have to go for it. We should be aiming for it. We're meant to be this big club. We are a big club. We're meant to be going in for top 4. 17th is absolutely ridiculous, and those amount of losses is unacceptable. I just, it needs to be. I mean, look at that. I don't even know how we got through it. I really don't know. Bear in mind that we actually got a European trophy is absolutely unbelievable. But it was a sweet ending to that season, and I'm absolutely happy with that, of course. But now, whoever is to come in, whether that is Ange or any other manager that is, I need to know that they are going to be backed 100%. And this is where I'm on the fence, because even if it is, we need to have that promise. We need to have that change now at Spurs. And that is literally what I'm asking for. But I feel like this is such a hard decision with the club. I would hate to be in this position, because honestly, from my heart, it just feels really wrong to let go of a manager that has just given us this. Whether it's maybe if we keep him on and see where we are from at Christmas, but then again, it's like, is that going to be wasting time when we could be just building straight away? I don't know. But I just feel whatever it is, the decision, it needs to be reacted fast and now. I feel like it needs to be this week, where we bring in a new manager or keep Ange, and then we go straight into signing those players that the manager wants and that they want for their system. So that is where I am at this point with Ange. Yeah.
Listen, I know for a lot of people out there, it's still a difficult decision to have, because I think, Chris, you touched upon there, he's given a lot of fans, you know, you mentioned it, you know, one of the best, not only days of your life in terms of footballing wise, but also one of the best weeks of your life. But again, we've said it, you know, so many times here, we can't also ignore the 22 defeats in the Premier League and obviously the fact of the nature of how those come about. I mean, Ange obviously has said since that, as we know, Miles, coming over to you, that he had to almost sacrifice the Premier League for the European campaign. He just felt he couldn't do both given the players that he had available to him. And I know for a lot of people out there, again, a lot of it shared a screen on this show. Mario says here, never born in this tournament, manager. It's been horrendous, but he gave us the best moment of our lives. If he stays, so be it. If not, then onwards and upwards. I just feel at the moment, we're delaying a decision that needs to be made to take the club forward. Where are you, Miles, at the moment with regards to Ange being in the dark over his future? Is that right even? Is it right that we should be talking to other managers behind his back? I know people find that being quite disrespectful. Is that just now modern day football?
Yeah, it's always been modern day football. We were probably speaking to people behind Potter's back. We're probably speaking to people behind Redknapp's back. It just happens. You've always got to prepare for the next step, no matter if you're going to take that next step or not. Where I sit with Ange at the moment, look, I've said to you, I'm still riding high off the cup. I'm going to ride high on it. However, I'm not going to discredit those 22 defeats. And the problem I've got at the moment where I believe that I'm really torn is Van de Ven and Romero are very key to Ange and the way he plays. However, they're going to get injured next season. They both are. They've never, ever been, for the last 3 seasons, been able to play more than 30 games in a season. So here we are. If that happens again, which is most likely going to happen, Ange is not the man to take us forward, unfortunately, because we can't sacrifice the league again to go play all the cups and then, hopefully get lucky in one of them, because the Champions League is going to be unforgiving. Once you get out of the group stage, it'll be very unforgiving. The FA Cup, it all determines whether we get a top 6 side or not again. And this is the problem that we're going to have. And we're not going to buy him the footballers to cover the Van de Vens and the Romeros, because we've seen that. I know Danso's decent and I know Dragison's been okay, but they're nowhere near the level of what those two are together. And that's the problem that I feel like that we're going to have going forward. And that's why if they're going to make a decision, Ange probably knows, by the way, I'm going to sit there and say that he knows, hence the reason for his comment. And he probably knew before he made that comment, because he didn't say season 3 was going to be with him. He never said that. He just said season 2 is going to be better than season 3. But the problem you've now got as well, if Spurs do get rid of him, the next manager is on a hiding to nothing. Because you're following the man that just won a European trophy after 41 years. Yes, follow the 22 games, but if he loses 11 or 12, people are not going to be happy. People, I'm assuming, I want to see a top 4 finish next year, a good Champions League campaign, and 2 decent cup runs. That's a lot. That's going to be a hard act to follow at this football club if we don't buy the football players to come through the door to manage that. And I think that's what the biggest problem is. If Frank was the guy to come in, can he manage that? We don't know. We have no idea. Could he, he's coming from a Brentford side that have never had to play 2 games a week. So is that a case off? But Poch came from Southampton, who never had to play 2 games a week. And you kind of have to just go with it. And it's going to be a big ride next year. This is going to be better than EastEnders. It's going to be Tottenham Hotspur, and it's going to be North Enders, because I can see it now. Ricky, there's going to be games next year that we'll be there and be like, oh my God, here we go again. It's just the way it is. But whether I'm managing or not, couldn't care less. We won the Europa League.
Gee, let me come over to you. We've got to get to a serious point in the show. We've got to get to a serious point, I tell you. Look, how do you feel, G, at the moment? Because Ange has said also in that interview for him that as a human being, does he get angry sometimes? Yes. Does he get frustrated? Of course. But what he's always tried to is call out the people who he thinks have had it and got it wrong in the past. Again, he had that comment referred to him where he was teetering on becoming a hero or a clown. He said, I've grown up in a schoolyard in Australia with a long surname, so trust me, I've heard every variation. Nothing they were going to say was going to upset me. When I was lying in my bed as a 9 or 10-year-old, what were the visions I was having? The Premier League was it for me. It was where I wanted to see myself one day. That was the dream for sure. And he also said at that moment about the parade and what he was referring to when he said, my players, I didn't just want us to enjoy the moment. I also wanted us to think about what's next. Don't settle for this. We've got a taste of it now. My players have got a taste of it now. The club's got a taste for it. We need to make sure we're back here again. What's your feelings, George, on those words from Ange that have come literally fresh off the press in this last 24 hours?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you, I think we can all sit here and try and, technically analyze everything and act and behave as if we were the board making the decision and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're football fans. I'm a football fan, and Ange has given me the best feeling I have ever had in my life supporting Spurs winning this Europa League. And the whole point of football is it is supposed to be the beautiful game, and you are supposed to enjoy these moments, and emotions are a part of football when we're not the ones that are making decisions at this board level. So for me personally, I've been of the view when he's delivered something that hasn't been done in 41 years, despite how absolutely abysmal the league had been, in my opinion, he deserves the chance to see what happens next season, especially because we're not going to be 17th again. A lot of people will say it's poor that he had to sacrifice the league, but at the end of the day, for me, I think we needed to get the monkey off our back of not winning a trophy, and the Europa League was a massive one at that. And we've done that now. There won't have to be this whole sacrifice one for the other. We need to build a squad that can handle all of it. And I feel like he, in my opinion, deserves a chance to have a go next season. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think it will. But that's just how I sort of feel about it. I feel like this is the happiest I've been as a Spurs fan seeing this lift that trophy. And it just would feel completely wrong getting rid of the guy that's done that. And I do see us improving in the league next year. After winning this cup, it's just, are we going to have another major trophy that come along with it? I don't know. There's so much that needs to happen. We still need to improve the squad drastically. We are still going to lose some players no matter what. But yeah, and I think Marlon's right as well. The timing of these quotes and stuff coming out now, Ange would not need to do PR from Greece if he wasn't worried about his position. Let's be real, that is the case.
Do you feel he knows, George, already? Do you feel he already knows the verdict?
I think from the way he's handled press conferences and stuff throughout the 2 years that he's been at the club, I think he's a very, very smart man. And I think he knows exactly what's going on. He would have people that has ears and stuff in the club. So he will know if the club are leaning one way or the other to a decision on him, which is why I think he's done the big speeches at the parades. He's doing this Australian Post's article while being on holiday. Something that, no other manager would do when they're having a break before the season kickstarts again really quickly. So I think he kind of knows that something's up, which is very telling in my opinion. So yeah, like I said, my opinion, I think he deserves a chance for what he's done for us in this big moment. I don't think we'll be anywhere near as bad as we were in the league, because we're not going to field Gray, 18-year-old championship centre mid at centre back, and Ben Davis as our two centre backs for 30 of the 38 games. It's not going to happen again. So I don't think it'll be as bad as it was, but I just don't think he'll be afforded the chance to do it.
Listen, we're going to go for our belated first break of the show for our listeners on audio. We've been calling on this show, or this, platform, Last Word on Spurs, for this last few days as being one of Daniel Levy's biggest ever decisions, given the fact, of course, Ange has won Europa League trophy after 41 years. He's brought that to the fans. He's ended a 17-year trophy drought. But there was a familiar theme for Daniel Levy that he saw on the final day of the season, where the screen panned to him at the Spurs stadium, and this was the reaction he got. That is why this is being billed as one of the biggest decisions Daniel Levy will have to make in his tenureship. Guys, listen, there's over nearly 8,000 of you that are watching the show live. Got to say thank you ever so much for all the incredible support for Last Word on Spurs, not just on this show, pretty much over the last 7-8 years. I mean, we've had such a loyal viewer base, listener base to the show. And I mean it when I say, look, we've got wonderful guests that give up so much of their time that make this show possible. But the show would not be possible without the support of the fans. So I've got to say a massive thank you to you out there. Please keep liking. Please keep subscribing. I keep on saying that these kind of shows, I think, are really important to go out to a massive worldwide Spurs fan base. So please keep liking. Please keep subscribing. On this point, Chris, for Daniel Levy, if he is to make a change, it would be number 14. 14th manager in 24 years. Just how big do you think this is weighing over Daniel Levy about what to do next? And to go back onto George's point there, he feels that Ange is quite a smart man in terms of the words he's coming out with now in this period where we're saying he's in the dark. Maybe he's not in the dark, but what's for certain, Spurs fans are in the dark. What is Daniel Levy thinking right now?
I mean, you don't know. Maybe Levy doesn't actually have this decision anymore. We don't know. We don't know what is actually going on. But, like I said earlier, whatever the decision is, I feel like it needs to be this week 100%. And I do think whatever the decision will be, there's going to be a huge reaction from both sides, whoever's Ange in and Ange out. And I also feel it's going to have a reaction towards the players themselves. Like we've discussed, Ramiro, Van der Ven. I even think with Maddison as well, I generally feel like the players have this real good connection with our manager who's got them to this stage, where we're able to celebrate and actually be proud. I feel like, for once, it's been a while since I've been so proud to be a Tottenham fan. And, look at their faces in that picture. It's just unbelievable. We're never, ever going to forget that. And, we're going to look in like 10 years' time. And even though we have had an appalling record in the Premier League, we're not going to forget this moment with, just how incredible that win was. It is, I would, like I said as well, I would hate to be in this decision to either get rid of Ange or to bring someone else in, because I truly do not know what is going to be the best outcome for this. There's a whole reconstruction going on at the club with Donna now out. We've got Ryan Mason as well. I mean, who knows with Ange and Levy themselves? I don't know. There's a lot of rumours going on. But as I keep saying it, it needs to act fast. I mean, I just hope now, though, with this trophy, that they know just how much potential there is, and not even that they are hungry for more. They are hungry for more, for winning and going out there and winning more trophies, whether that be an FA Cup, I don't know, whatever it is, going for the Champions League. I just want even people that are going to join the club know that there is so much that we can possibly do at this incredible club. We've got the stadium, we've got the amazing training facility, whatever. There is just so much more I know that we can bring. And I just hope winning that Europa now has given them a taste of what it feels like. Even for us fans, we know now it's just, this is going to be big. So whoever it is, I just hope has a lot of potential and knows exactly what they're doing, that we back them, as I keep saying it, because that is the most important thing. It's wild to think when we discuss about what manager we want. I always usually think, how are they going to lead under Levy? It's not how they're going to be with the players. It's always like that, which I find very wild that Tottenham fans think like that.
I think the key thing about that, Chris, is to bring Miles into it, is that, I think what we've seen under Enic's tenureship is that a lot of managers come here and tried and not been able to succeed. There's been a number of reasons for that. They've not been given maybe the players they've wanted. They've not been given the certain tools to be able to succeed. But Ange has done the one thing that a lot of those managers under Enic, one day Ramos have failed to do. He's actually won under really difficult conditions. And I just wonder, Miles, when we come to the point of the links towards Thomas Frank, who, don't get me wrong, I think we touched upon this in our previous show. Thomas Frank, I think, is a very good coach, very good man, motivator, has no doubt taken Brentford on Brentford, just to be very, very clear, not Brentwood, Brentford on an upward trajectory. There's no doubt about that when you look at the record that he's done, stabilised them as an established Premier League club. But I think the biggest problem for Daniel Levy is that there seems to have been a massive now pendulum swing that under Ange Postecoglou, it's very hard now, I think, to make a change in the nature of Thomas Frank. And I will qualify this again and say I think Thomas Frank is a very good coach. I think he's a very good tactician. I think he's a very good communicator. I think the problem being is that I would love to know, what is Thomas Frank's remit coming into Tottenham when in Ange's first season, and you know me as a person, I've been very critical of Ange on here. I've still got my concerns over a 38-game season. Those are still there for me, those concerns. Can't get away from that. He achieved 5th in his first season with the club, He wins a Europa League in the second season, so he's won a trophy. He's got 5th. I just wonder, what would the remit be for someone like Thomas Frank coming in to the football club if you are to sack Ange Postecoglou, where he's achieved 5th in his first season, won a European trophy in the second one? Do you understand it, Miles, if Thomas Frank was to be Ange's potential successor?
Well, the biggest problem you have is if Ange doesn't win the Europa League, none of us are asking the question. We're probably welcoming Thomas Frank through with open arms.
But this is obviously, as we know, football's a fast-paced, changing environment.
90 minutes
changes everything, of course.
So the remit is don't lose 22 league games. That is basically what the remit is. Try and do well in the cups. Don't lose 22 league games. Get out the group stage in the Champions League, because that's exactly where we're at. We're not gonna. I'll be very surprised if Tottenham go and build a team in the summer that's going to be competing for a top 6. I'll be very surprised. I'll be very surprised if they're going to make all these changes and all these top players are going to come through the door. Players that are consistent. Let me just say that players that are consistent. We have good players, but they're not consistent enough. Basuma is probably the prime example of everything that's wrong with Tottenham right now, because he's been up and down through his whole career at Tottenham. But when it came to that big moment in those semi-finals and that final, we saw the Basuma that we saw in the first 10 games before he got sent off against Luton. And this is the issue we have. None of them are performing at a top level week in, week out. Now, can Frank do this? I think why a lot of people are looking at Thomas Frank is because he lost Ivan Toney, the man got him up into the Premier League. Then he had him out for the betting scandal. And then he's managed to build a new team without him and managed to get the best out of MBUEMO, Visa, and even Damsgaard, who's been quite good for them as well. So I think everyone's looking at Frank for his coaching abilities more than anything else. And when you hear any players talking about Frank, they speak of him very highly. And I think that's what Spurs have seen in Frank compared to probably the other candidates when you get to the Areolas and Silvas, because all of a sudden, Areola's committed himself to Bournemouth, I believe, and Silva was looking to go to Saudi, but that's been put on hold. And the possibility that he could be going to Juventus. He's been linked with Juventus in the last couple of weeks as well. So, look, for Frank next year, he's just got to stabilise this team, get this team up. Hopefully when, I'm going to use it again, if Paratici is coming back, he goes and gets in the players to fit his system that he can work with. You have to remember, this was the same guy that wanted Brennan Johnson over a year ago before we got him.
And Archie Gray as well.
Archie Gray. So maybe this is their thinking. Maybe they're thinking on the same remit is actually, yes, he ain't full out attacking, but he has that defensive stability that he can also get out of some of these players. So look, if it is Thomas Frank that walks through the door and he's taking us to the Super League, people, remember we got Paris. so people ain't forgotten, we have got Paris. But if he is the one, let it be. We're all going to be here supporting him, but I think he's got a very hard act to follow because of that final. And it doesn't matter which manager comes in. It could be an elite manager. If he gets off to a bad start, we're all going to be going back to Bilbao going, well, you did sack the manager that said he was going to give us a 3rd season. But I completely get why Ange won't be here in August. I get it. Look, the league form was terrible. We should never have been 17th. I get he was throwing away some games, but actually, when you look at the games he was throwing away, you kind of go, if you change your tactics a little bit to help the players that you sent out there, we wouldn't have lost half the games we had. You saw when we played Brentford, Ipswich away, and we played West Ham, there were slight tweaks of the tactics, but he still left us that open at home. And I think that's what the killer is. Get the home form right. Everything else will just kind of fall into place. Just don't lose many at home.
George, let me come over to you. I said this show's going to be an hour. I'm lying, aren't I? We're going to try our best to. It's difficult. I mean, when you go into these debates like this, it's really, really tricky because there's so many factors that filter into these. And the reality is that when we look at someone like Thomas Frank's profile, he's a man that is driven on data. I think importantly, like Miles said there in the past, he's tried to sign Archie Gray. There's been links to Brennan Johnson as well. The fact that he does operate on a data-driven model, the fact that he has got what we are led to understand, close links to Johan Langer. These are a lot of the reasons why, George, that Tottenham would be pursuing Frank as a potential replacement for Ange Postecoglou, in your opinion?
Yeah, look, I can 100% see why Frank is the man that looks like he's going to be the next one in charge. 100%. He seems to tick a lot of boxes, and he seems to have that similar character about him to Ange, in the sense of knowing, what can I say? I guess it's like his man management, right? He is someone that I think the players can get behind. The issue I have is just so many question marks about, like, again, with Europe, whether we can handle it. I know Marlon brought a great point earlier about the fact that Poch didn't before he joined us as well. So there is a chance that he could, but we are going into the Champions League with potentially him as our manager. On top of that, you've got the added pressure of the fact that we're now going to be demanding probably a much, much higher league position and probably a trophy. Let's be real. I'm not exactly sure which one that is yet, but we as a club and a club of our size should be demanding trophies year in, year out. Whether we get them or not is a whole other thing. There's so many factors that happen in a season. But for me, I think the problem is, I just worry that this sort of move stabilizes Spurs, but with how, not short-sighted, but how fickle this fan base can be sometimes, I just know that won't be enough. If we say we come between 6th and 8th in the league and not win a trophy, I know for a fact there's going to be a meltdown next summer, because there's going to be a huge what if around, well, you had the guy that won us a big trophy. We couldn't build on being winners because we're probably going to lose Romero. We might lose a few other players as well. There's just so many factors at play, and to me, it just feels like a really safe option. And again, when you're saying about the data-driven approach, yeah, I think it's like I said, it's so hard to explain because, like, he is a good manager. He seems to fit the sort of model that we're trying to build, because it looks like we're basing it off of Brentford and Brighton with what we're trying to do, but just on that next level up. But from what we've seen in transfer windows in the past, even with this data approach, we're still not getting the players of the level that we need to compete in that top 4 bracket. We're just not. Solanke was the only adult signing that we made last summer that I would argue was around that level. Bergvall and Great, fantastic prospects, and Bergvall's proven himself to be one of the first names on the team sheet, fair enough, but we needed to do more than that in a couple of positions, like defensive mid, like at left centre back, and it wasn't done. And I'm just worried that we might go through another window of signing hot prospects because of this data approach, but that's not going to get us to that top level the way that Frank can't get Brentford to that top level, because they can only operate within a certain wage and transfer bracket. And we're kind of shoehorning ourselves into that because we won't offer the wages for that level of player. Hence why MBUEMO is choosing Man United over us already, because we know that we won't offer the same wage package. You see what I mean? So there's so many other factors at play, not just Frank. It's just how sorry, my camera's gone off, but it's just how the club also operate with him there. Like, can we bring in the players to be able to succeed with Champions League and Premier League as well?
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think, George, you make so many important points there, fascinating points, I think, around this debate. And I think, there are many out there, I must just say, that, as we've seen in the last 24, 48 hours, that wouldn't swap Ange Postecoglou for Thomas Frank. Many would see it as being a sideways step. There's definitely a recognition, Chris, that Frank is a good coach, good man manager, good tactician, does have a variance in the way he does tactically change things up game by game. But I know there's also concerns that it's a very similar approach to Nuno, where he works in a certain kind of size of a club where the players really buy into that individual. And it's again whether the beast that is Tottenham Hotspur would eat up another manager, right? And I think it's, it's crazy me saying this. People might think I'm crazy saying this, because the league form has been absolutely horrendous. If Marlon was right, if it was just you're walking in on the back of 22 league defeats, you get Tottenham in the top 6, would be a decent season. The problem that the manager's got, that if they do make a change coming in, the club delivered a European trophy after 41 years. And that's where it does cloud a lot of people's judgment. Like you said, Chris, at the beginning of your intro, gave you one of the best weeks of your life, which is why there is everybody very torn right now. Is that fair to say that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I just don't want a yes man to come in. I want someone that's actually going to
Do
go
you
out
fear
there.
Frank? Do you fear Frank is that? And the reason why I ask you that is because
Yeah.
Ange said in his final press conference of the season, if we remember, he made it very, very clear he wants experienced players coming in, and also made a point of how important it is to keep Christian Romero at this football club.
Yeah, that is literally, that sounds like music to my ears. That's exactly what George's point as well. Experienced players, we need to get them in. I know we love like Archie Gray and all of that. You know, they're great, but they are going to be for the future. I'd loan them out, you know, but we need now. We need to act now. This is what we want. We want to see at the next step of this, you know, of next step of this Europa, you know, cup that we've won. Let's go and move on to the next one. We can't just be repeating itself like, oh yeah, going into the top 10. Great. Okay. We need to actually act like a big club now.
Seize that moment from winning that trophy.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Frank. I would rather keep Ange if that's the case. If it is to, you know, the choice between those two, I would rather have Ange, in my opinion. And what he said is exactly what I want. Bring in experienced players now, and if that's what he wants, then back Ange now. React to it now. That's literally what I wanted to hear. But yeah, I just don't think. I think it's just going to be a repeat season like we usually do if we bring in Frank. It's not going to be as bad, I don't think, ending up 17th, but I don't think there's going to be a huge success like we've had at the end of this season, to me. Yeah.
Are we underestimating him, Miles, anyway? Because I think the one thing that we have said in this show, and we've given Frank his props, that he's a very good man manager, good tactician, does have a variance in terms of getting it right when it comes to certain games and setting up correctly. Are we underestimating the fact that he's yet to be given a chance at a big football club? Is he just waiting for that?
Yeah, and I think the reason why, well, especially why us Spurs fans are underestimating is because sometimes, and I'm going to say this with a pinch of salt, we just think we're bigger than what we really are. And sometimes we just need to take it back a step. And the reason why I say that is because we're not the club that wins trophies every year like the others do. And we think we should be going for the elite. We've seen the stadium, Levy's promised us this, that, and the other. So we believe that we should be going after an elite manager straight away. But maybe in this situation, we just need to look at Thomas Frank and go, could this just be the right fit for everything that's going on at the club right now? And I get what are we asking for here? Because we've just won the Europa League, but we're asking for a decent league finish. Now, as people have been quoted, every time we've won a trophy, I don't think we finished higher than 8th in any of those seasons.
No.
However, 22 games is always going to be the one that's going to be thrown at a lot of people and be like, we just shouldn't be losing that many games. And right now, Tottenham are in that situation where we need to just take that next step. And the problem we've got is a lot of people are saying it's not. Look, Ange, you saw it. As soon as the players got injured, we're done. We're finished. We're completely done for. So we just kind of need to, as Spurs fans, come together and go, what do we expect from next season now? And kind of go from there. Don't think too big, but don't think too small. And I think we just need to see, because look, we're still having teething problems with the stadium. We've moved into it and we've never really made it our home. And hopefully now, this is where we can kind of go, if it is Thomas Frank, because we don't even know if it's going to be Thomas Frank. We're just guessing here.
Of course not. We're speculating with what's out there. You're right.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's Thomas Frank. It could still be Ange Postecoglou. It could be somebody else.
And this is the issue that we've got right now, because we're speculating this, that, and the other. I think the problem that a lot of us have with Ange and everything going on right now is because it's head over heart. Our heart says keep him. Our head says get rid. We've seen the signs. No go. This is where you kind of have to go. Which one do you want to listen to for next season? And a lot of people, because of that moment and that parade, and I'm still living there, I'm not going to come away from there, are thinking with their heart, because I think if all of us went back to when we lost to Leicester, we wanted him gone. He was finished. Losing that game, I always refer to that game because that was a big pivotal moment for everybody. I think a lot of people. And then you had Chelsea Cup in the Year moment as well. You've got to remember these moments that we've had under Ange, that he's kind of gone against us. But he has given us that moment. And that's the bit we have to decide, not, as Spurs fans over the next few weeks, what do we want? What do all of us want to see next year, and and then from that, make a decision on, because we're all going to be different. And that's the one thing, we're all going to be different, and just accept what each other wants and then see what the board give us, because what they're going to give us is completely different to what everybody wants. We know this. Yeah. So, I think everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. I think that's all it is at the moment. We just need to be patient. And I know that's I know we've been patient for so many years, but the problem we've got right now is that we have just won a trophy. We have just had the worst league season in the space of like literally weeks. We just literally had the worst season. Let's just take some time to reflect on what literally just happened, and the club will take care of it over the next month or so. By July 1st, I think that's
why people are worried, Miles, because the club have got to take care of it.
The club have got to take care of it. But this is the issue. Like, we've seen Donna Cullen go today, and it's like we said, these are now the steps of moving parts that are going to happen.
Yep.
Let's see how it all goes. If it's Thomas Frank, if it's Ange Postecoglou, or question mark over here, when that season kicks off,
we're
all going to be behind that manager, and we're all going to just have to get on board with whatever the club are giving us at the time and see how it works out. But let's not get too crazy. Come on. Like I said, I'm going to say it again. Enjoy the Europa League, people. Come on, please. Let's enjoy it.
I think that is the problem, though, with football, isn't it? I mean, I agree with you, Miles. A lot of people would still love to live in that moment, but I know a lot of people that even the following week at the Brighton game, I mean, you know yourself, there's people that are going, another Premier League defeat, and even with pre-season coming, how these games, some will watch them, they'll analyse them, they'll look at the results, and if it is Frank or if it's Ange or if it's somebody else, they'll look at the fact of pre-season saying we've lost this game. That's what football's become now. It's become so intrinsically analysed and so thoroughly debated. And because, look, we do it as well. We can't deny, I'm a hypocrite by saying it. We always do that as well. So I think that the hard thing to know is you would imagine we've got to have a decision this week, Chris, haven't we? You can't imagine coming to the end of this week and us not knowing who the managers to take us into next season. I mean, I think like George said, we've got a bloody kit launch coming out for the viewers and listeners in the morning. We've got to know what's happening, right?
Well, we've got a calendar. Apparently, we've got a calendar this whole week. Everything's been scheduled in, definitely.
We've got to know, haven't we? We've got to know when this week. Have to.
I mean, I find it funny with this whole teaser, this kit launch. It says something about vows. And weirdly, I think Ange actually mentioned, like, there was a quote about him making a vow or something to Tottenham. It's just quite funny. And it was like, I think because it's on the 3rd of June or something, there's like another relationship. So, but anyways, I
saw Ali, bless him, Ali Gold post back to Billy saying that third shirt's now obviously available because Reguilon is no longer at the football club. So do we have that feeling, though? I mean, George, it has to be done this week, doesn't it? I mean, you can't imagine we come to the end of this week and we've been kept in the dark for what would be near on a fortnight with regards to if the manager is staying or going. I'm talking about the fans now. Look, the board have made their decision. Just to be very, very clear, Paul O'Keefe has said they've communicated the decision. We're going to find that out in due course. You imagine Ange will already know, but for the fans, do you think we'll know one way or another in this week?
Well, you kind of have to, because one, the noise is just going to get louder and louder. Two, Ange has got to return from holiday at some point.
I'm free. Can I just put in? I can't keep doing these shows.
No,
it's going to wreck my marriage.
Just doom scrolling all day and night, just trying to find out what's going on. Like we need to, at some point, we need to plan for next season. As annoying as it is, because I want to live in this moment forever with the Europa League, we do have to think about next year, sadly, and we need to know soon. And we can't have Ange coming back from holiday without the club knowing, or at least communicating, who the manager is going to be, because he's going to get asked questions by people. And he's not. We're going to want the answer. So, yeah, we have to know surely by the end of this week.
Mars, you feel on that point as well? Do you think we will know what's going on by the end of the week?
Yeah. We will do. Look, because if anything, no one can really start to the 1st of July anyway, even if it is Frank, because that'll probably be somewhere in his contract. But it'll be a case of by the end of this week, early next week, we'll know, and then you could we'll be in another podcast doing a therapy session.
We're going to move on. We're going to talk about Ryan Mason. Final question to you all. Just need a name. Ange, Frank, someone else. Chris, who do you want for next season?
Oh, someone else.
Do you want to give us a name? Do you have a name?
I don't have a name. I really don't. That's the thing.
But not Ange, not Frank, someone else.
It's like I said, I'm not going to let my emotions get in. If I don't,
Yep.
I'm going to say someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, Ange, Frank, someone else.
And I think he deserves the chance.
Miles?
So I've been singing his praise a little bit for the show. I'm going to say Frank.
Okay. It's a split panel, isn't it? It's going to be interesting how it pans out. Look, listen, we're going to go for our final break of this show. We're going to very quickly touch on the news. Ryan Mason, one of our own, has formally now left the football club. He will be joining West Bromwich Albion as their new head coach. Big move for Ryan. Finally taking the plunge, becoming the manager of the football club. There's been a lot, I think, around Ryan, especially over the last year or so, that, you know, many have tried to say it's the right time for Ryan to leave, but West Brom is quite a big football club, and there will be an expectancy at West Brom to be promoted back to the Premier League. He would have watched his former colleague, obviously, of Chris Davis, doing a great job at Birmingham, which has seen, of course, him take them up to, I believe, the Championship. And we are hearing news that Stuart Lewis, one of the very credible coaching staff at Spurs, could follow Ryan Mason to West Brom. How big a move, George, is this for Ryan Mason, in your opinion? And will he be successful there?
Do you know what? This is great for him because I think, look, I've been critical in the past because I don't think he should have been our interim manager at any point, especially when he had basically zero experience at the time. But look, he's now learned the trade from elite managers, from new managers, whether that's, you know, Conte, Ange, whoever it might be. He's learned the ins and outs at top level. We're talking about Champions League, Europa League, Premier League. I think it was the right time for him to move on and sort of find his own feet, so to speak. And I think you can't want better than, you know, Championship as first time out. Because I think when you look at some other, you know, young player turned managers, well, I'm thinking like you know, Gerrards, your Lampards, your Rooneys. I think so many of them get a big job early on because of their name, and it's like 98% of the time it's a flop because they haven't had that experience. And I think whilst it's not necessarily experience of being a first team coach, a tiny bit of Spurs, a little bit, I think he's probably like absorbed so much information, especially as a coach over the last 7 years, that I think moving to a Championship side and trying to do better for them is probably the right thing for him. And I think he can do a decent job. It's hard to say because we don't necessarily know what his tactics are or how he wants to play. At the moment, from what we've seen at Spurs, he seems to just execute what the managers want. So he seems to be a good coach. Whether we can do that as the leader of the whole group, we don't know yet. But I do think this is just the right step for him. Chris,
do you agree? Ryan Mason, one of our own, of course, been at the club for many, many years, player, coach, obviously has worked under some illustrious names. You can't forget that. The likes of Mourinho, the likes of Conte, Pochettino, Nuno in there as well. Obviously, Pochettino more as a player than rather a coach, but a lot of experience he's taken, isn't he, to West Brom?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. He's had a lot of experience. He's had a final with us. What are you talking about? We saw what happened there.
Don't talk to me about that final. Did my mate
but we were all
Bale
arguing that he was going to be in the final for the Europa at one point.
Yeah, it was. There was.
But no, you know what? Fair play to him, and bless him, because I feel like he really is just been Tottenham all the way through. I'm pretty sure I found out from someone that he is actually originally like a Chelsea fan as well. So we converted it, I'm sure. But you know what? Fair play to him and good luck, because you know, it's always good to see someone who's come from Tottenham and they go and achieve elsewhere. It's always great to see that. So no, fair play to him, and yeah, just hopefully, I mean, no offense to him, but I'm glad we didn't get to see him in another final, because I don't know how that would have gone down. But you know, I always wish whoever comes out of Tottenham, always wish them the best, and that's the same if that happens with Ange as well. So yeah, no, hats off to him.
I mean, normally it's that situation when you leave Tottenham and you're absolutely destined to win a trophy, but because Spurs have now won one, I don't think it will change the narrative. I mean, Miles, what do you think with regards to that move to West Brom? Is that a good move for Ryan, where he probably will be expected to go there and bring that club back up to the Premier League, right?
Yeah, good luck to him. Like, I didn't enjoy any of his matches, apart from Leicester, I suppose, away when Gareth Bale kind of changed it. But I didn't enjoy any of the games that he ever managed for us. I completely I wanted to throw him.
I
under
mean, to
the
be
bus
fair,
every
he's
time.
been put. He was putting in. I mean,
Yeah,
we threw him under
he did. Yeah,
twice.
he did have
Put
to
him in
say yes,
difficult
though.
circumstances.
He did have to say yes, and he said yes. So I'm going to judge him. However, I'll be supporting him every single step of the way at West Brom and hoping he does well because, as a person and the way he comes across, it's been brilliant. However, anyone who's on X will know that there's a certain person we all think Ryan Mason is. So it'd be quite interesting to see how that develops over the next few days. And I haven't stopped laughing since the news was announced because everybody's waiting. But only if you're on X, you'll get that.
Yeah,
but
only if you're on
good
X.
luck. But good luck to him. In all seriousness, I really want him to do well. But obviously, when he doesn't play against Spurs.
Of course. Listen, we wish Ryan all the success. Like I say, thanks so much for all the years that he's been put in those difficult positions. And also, he's been there for the club. You know, he has been a real Tottenham man. So we wish Ryan all the very best. Couple of quick transfer things that we need to close on, guys. Matisse Tell, we understand there are reports that Tottenham still want to keep Matisse Tell. And a new idea is currently being discussed over whether there will be a new arrangement with regards to the loan deal with a loan fee and a subsequent obligation to buy. Bayern still prefer a permanent sale. Negotiations are ongoing. Everything is still open. And we understand Max Eberl has been in intense talks with both Tottenham and Tell to find a possible solution over the course of the last few weeks. Is a yes or a no? Tell, do you want more? Do you want more of Tell? Tell me more, yes or no. Let's start with Chris. Tell, do you want more, yes or no?
Oh, why me? This is
I realised no one could do
difficult.
yes or no on these shows, can they?
I like the guy and I like his attitude, but his finish is not good enough for me. I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Miles, yes or no?
Depending on the fee, yes.
What fee? What? You maybe go for what kind of fee would be suitable?
You said a headset now. Anything under 30.
Under 30. Okay, because that will
30,
eat in, you know, to the summer budget of if it's Ange or someone else, that's coming out. George?
Yeah, so other players will go.
We'll see. Tell, gut feeling, George, on it for you?
Yeah, yes for a reduced fee, but also we still need an experienced winger on top of him as well. I said it to you, you know, when we were first looking at him in January. I think he's an incredible talent for his age, 19 years old. For me, it feels like he's one of those players that if we don't get him in a few years' time, we're going to be like really kicking ourselves because I think he will kick on somewhere. And for me, I think like 100% agree, the finishing's been a bit of an issue. This is where I had a little bit of a gripe with Ange. I do think we've been using him completely wrong because he's not a striker at all, in my opinion. I think his attributes are similar to Sonny in the sense of how Sonny used to shoot for us. He would start wide, drift into the middle, and pop off shots like it's nothing from the edge of the box.
That Brighton game.
That's how he scored most of his goals for Bayern Munich. We haven't utilized him in that way once. He's either been a striker or he's been an out and out touchline winger. So I think, and he had good performances at Frankfurt away and in other games as well. So there was glimpses, not a lot for how much the fee is. But yeah, for me personally, with a reduced fee and another experienced player alongside him, I think it's a no-brainer.
Under Frank.
Well, and yeah,
MBUEMO on the left.
If it's another manager that can get the best out of it, then 100%. I just think he's been used completely wrong so far, I suppose.
Well, let's close on the player that many are alluding to, which will be an experienced player that could be coming in. That's of Leroy Sané. There are reports Spurs have offered the player already a 4-year contract, and Spurs are in pole position to land the player. Gut feeling, yes or no? Are Tottenham going to make this happen? It feels if Tottenham were to make the signing of Sané happen, they're going to have to really, change the structure of the wage at the top of the club because we know Heung-Min Son is currently the top earner. If they're bringing Sané in, you'd argue he will rival that, if not even go above Son in that pecking order. Chris, yes or no? Can we get on this one? Can you see Sané being a Tottenham player?
Listen, I was on here with the Dragoson and we were all saying no. So I'm going to go with yes on this one.
Okay. Miles, Sané, yes or no?
Yes, but I'm worried about his pace and his injuries. That's it. That's what I'm going to say.
Saying yes. George, is he the experienced winger you're referring to when you're talking about Tell alongside him?
Well, initially I wanted MBUEMO because I think he's been playing a lot more right wing. But now that MBUEMO's not happening, I think he probably could be. People need to realise, though, that he is not the SANE that was at City. He doesn't take players on 1v1 out wide again anymore like that. He's not like rapid like that. He, again, like I was just saying with Talbot on the opposite side, he actually drifts into the middle a lot as well now. He's had to evolve his game because he hasn't got that same pace. So, again, if it's under Frank and he's utilising him the way he's utilised and MBUEMO and so before, I think it could work out quite well.
It's all mystery, isn't it, at the moment with regards to the fans, because we all don't know.
On the manager and everything, like there's too many variables at the moment.
Yeah. I also do understand we're getting a lot of flurry of reports that Daniel Levy could also be the latest to leave the football club. Look, they're unverified at the moment. Obviously, if there was any reports out there with any credibility, we'd try and show and share them to you on this show. I think that kind of brings us up to date. I know you know what's going to happen now. As soon as we log off, something's going to break, because that's what happens when you say, right, I think we're up to date in the Tottenham community, and then suddenly we come off and say it absolutely breaks in the reefer. But listen, for now, we await the decision on Tottenham as to whether they're going to keep with Ange or move to somebody else. And I guess a lot of this remains in wait. I want to say a massive thank you to Christina Zandes, Change for Spurs. Chris, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll see you across the summer, where we can all get some of our refreshment back and get ready to go again, right? Potentially?
I hope so. I hope we have some great shows with big, amazing signings, and Jack Grealish is going to come to Tottenham, and it's going to be the best day of my life again. There we go.
I know a lot of people say after an hour and a half of recording the show, we're still as uncertain as we were at the start of the show. When is anything about Tottenham ever certain when you come off? They're the only football club that when you talk about them, you come off the shows asking more questions than when you went on the bloody shows. Miles, thank you. I know we took you off your moments of enjoying the parade. We'll send you back there and you can go and watch it all again on Spurs Official. I'm sure they'll be delighted for the coverage of you rewatching it over there.
Oh, of course. I've been watching every moment, every day. I think I've watched Jules' video about a few times already, just reliving it. Come on. I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. I've got to live in this moment for now. So I'm going to live in it. Look, Spurs are a soap opera. Let's get going. Come on, you Spurs, man. Come on.
Miles, thank you so much. Check him out over at the Spurs Kings TV. They'll have a lot going on over there, despite the fact Miles was trying to tell me that him and Ash are taking a break. I've had them both on this week. What's going on? George Achillea, I dragged him off a sickbed to come on here, although I think George's voice has improved as we've gone on, and always his opinions are always why we love getting G on this show. G, thank you so much. Could be a busy summer in store. I'm sure you'll tell us to keep an eye on the socials, right, with what's to come.
Yeah, and I think I just need to practice speaking again. So thank you, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's already, what is this, Monday, and it seems like this is going to be one roller coaster of a week, and which will turn into a roller coaster of a month, then a summer, then a season. So strap in, everyone. The madness at Tottenham is well and truly underway. But yeah, like we were saying earlier, I'm just soaking in this glory that we've all been wanting at Spurs. So thanks for being back on, and I'm sure we'll be back soon talking about Spurs.
Yes, we will be back soon. Hopefully not too soon, but we shall see. Again, a massive thank you to the wonderful audience. Over 10,000 of you are watching the show live right now on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube. Can't thank you enough for all incredible support for Last One on Spurs. You guys are amazing. I think, as the old man says there, G, Super Cup next. It could be on its way. Let's hope. I'm
there. Trust me. We're getting the next one in early doors. Let's go.
Let's see what's to come from the wonderful Christina Zandes, from the brilliant Miles at the Spurs Kings, from the amazing George Achillea. We have been the Last Word on Spurs. We're going to see you very, very soon. From us all here, please keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on, you Spurs.